What's up, YouTube? We back again, another reaction. Airplay Beats, Law and Chi, and today we got classic albums review of The Who. Who's next? You ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
The story that lay behind this batch of songs that led to the Who's next album was supposed to be probably the most ambitious concept that I'd worked on ever.
He wanted the feeling that the audience were as important as the group to what was coming out of the music. And to be fair, I think the proof is there that that part of it actually worked, because the record is certainly, I think, the best record we ever made.
I think it's a fabulous album. You know, I think it will stand the test of time. You know? I mean, it's a great pity that it wasn't as fantastic as it was intended to be.
You don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
Love that song. So does he.
Change it had to come when you went all along. We're liberated from the floor, that's all. But the world looks
Good old Tommy, huh?
and history ain't changed, 'cause the banners they on.
Who's Next is a great album because The Who were at the peak of their powers. Daltrey's voice was just beginning to sort of reach its maximum sort of range and power and depth. Entwistle was a prodigious musical talent anyway. Moon was at his very best. Townsend was at his most arrogant, inspirational with his songwriting.
He's the songwriter.
We don't get fooled again. Don't get fooled again.
This is gonna be good.
Y'all feel inside, can't explain, a certain kind, can't explain.
We used to be one of the guys from the audience on the stage doing it. And I think, again, that really is down to the kind of songs Pete used to write. He had a way of communicating with those guys and making them feel that it was them up there doing it.
The front rows, and all we could see were fellas. Right? We always told ourselves that all the females were at the back, where we couldn't see.
They were very tough guys, you know, they very much knew what they wanted to do. They all had like very individual opinions, you know, they all had their absolute sort of taste in music. But they were all very, you know, open, you know, to ideas.
Kit Lambert and Chris Stamp were very valuable to us at the time. I mean, the group was kind of, people don't realise this, was really 6 members. Lambert and Stamp behind the scenes were incredibly valuable to us, especially to Pete. Pete's relationship with Kit was one they really did feed off each other. Kit would spark up ideas in Pete, and then Kit was the only one who could really communicate to Pete what was good and what was bad, and Pete would accept it. He wouldn't accept.
Those managers, man, were playing some ball back there. There were some real managers, huh?
Right, and they don't have horror stories about being robbed or janked or just.
We haven't gotten to that, any of that.
He was
yet.
manager for 10 years, but he's talking after the fact. He's
Yeah.
showing him a lot of praise. You know what I'm saying? So.
And Led Zeppelin had the wrestler dude.
Yeah. He said the Who was really 6 members.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of praise right there.
We'll never hear that name if we didn't watch this.
What was good and what was bad, and Pete would accept it. He wouldn't accept anything of us.
You only listen to him.
Still can't explain.
But what he used to do is he used to accentuate the positive. He just used to find the good stuff. And I'd say, well, what about this? And he'd say, let's come to that later. He was just brilliant. We were into the idea that the audience was the people to serve. So I suppose I lost that audience. I lost touch with the Who's mod audience. And I decided that what I actually had to do is I had to write something for me. And where I was at the time was I was in a very strange place. I had a couple of acid trips and hated it. Everybody else in the world was wearing funny clothes and blowing their heads off and wearing flares with flowers in their hair. And I felt very out of step with it, but I was interested in the mysticism. I was interested in the spiritual side of it. So I thought maybe what I could try to do is marry the pop single with this idea of this mystical journey. And that's when I started to work on Tommy.
Tommy, can you hear me? Can you feel me near you?
You asked where Tommy was.
Tommy, can you see me? Can I help to cheer you? Oh, Tommy, Tommy.
I wasn't aware of the minefield that I was getting into when I playfully called this piece that I was working on a rock opera. But Kit Lambert was just fantastic. He kind of took me the other way, though. He used to say things like, I'd say, are you sure it's okay to call this a rock opera? And he'd say, well, yeah, of course it is. And I'd say, well, the story's a bit dodgy at the moment. And he'd go, yeah, but all opera's got stupid story. And I realised later, actually, that some of his ambitions, of course, were to usurp the musical establishment.
Most of the drive for Tommy was from Kit Lambert, because his father was a composer, Constant Lambert. And Kit was always pushing Pete, saying, but Kit loved pop music and he loved the 3-minute single. But he was determined to make the music of a rock band more important than he was always saying, this music's much more important than people realise. It's not just a throwaway thing. He knew back then that it was going to still survive today.
This is the soundtrack to Tommy, then, right? Pinball Wizard.
Solo down the break, I must have played them all. But I ain't seen nothing like him in any amusement hall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid. So please me, pinball.
Tommy, you finally found out that there's a lot of money coming in, and we thought, whoa, I guess we've made it. We always had an idea that Tommy was going to mean something. Yeah, we liked the album, and we knew it was going to be kind of important. But the audience just started getting bigger and bigger. Every time we did a tour, we had to play bigger places.
How could I make the subject of this new piece, this Lifehouse piece, I want the story to be about music, I want it to be about the future, I want it to be about hope and vision, but it's got to be rooted in reality, got to look at the possible problems. How could I make my character effectively deaf, dumb and blind without doing it again, you know? And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll make him live in the future, and I'll put him in a suit. And he'll be in the suit, and he won't live real life. He'll live pretend life. He'll live spoon-fed life. He'll live couch potato life. He'll live the life that filmmakers, storytellers, advertisers, you know, political manipulators and brainwashers want him to live. And thus, he'll be effectively deaf, dumb and blind to his spiritual potential, which is his freedom to congregate with other human beings, interact with other human beings, and live what we now call life.
From there, I think Pete, you know, came up with a kind of basic script, which was like a film script, which didn't make any sense. None of us could grasp it. But it had some good ideas in it about, and I think, from what I can remember, the one idea that I picked up on was the fact that if we ever do find the meaning of life, it will be a musical note.
What?
And I thought, yeah, that's a great that in itself.
I was just looking up the order of the albums. So this is the album right after Tommy. So that's what he was saying. He's trying to make.
Okay.
He's trying to. Did you hear what he was saying?
As far as pop music?
No, just they were talking about Tommy's records.
Yeah, I
The
know.
album-
That's why I
the
said
songs
that's
on
why I mentioned.
Tommy.
Yeah, right.
I started getting confused.
Right.
But then he was talking about how Tommy was deaf, dumb, and blind, and on the next album he had to try to make him seem something. He said he gonna put a suit on him or something crazy.
So the next album's about Tommy as well.
That's what it sounded like. This Who's Next album.
Oh, okay.
Right after that.
Okay.
So that's where I was getting lost for a second.
So it's
there.
based on this character for 2 albums.
I guess so.
That's crazy. And he wrote.
He wrote all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
be
He
a
got
musical
all
note.
that in him.
And I
That's
thought,
crazy.
yeah, that's a great that in itself is a great idea for some kind of musical story.
There once was a note pure and easy, playing so free like a breath rippling by. That was where the story of Lifehouse was told. There once was a note pure and easy, playing so free like a breath rippling by. The note is eternal, I hear it, it sees me. Forever we blend as forever we die. I listened and I heard music in a word, and words when you played your guitar. The noise that I was hearing was a million people cheering, and a child flew past me riding in a star.
That's Pete, right? His name. The guitarist that wrote all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He
He's
wrote
a very
everything.
talented guy.
Man,
To write all that on, and they said he would write it and make it the other people, the guys in the band, make it feel like they actually had input and helped, even if they didn't. So
his brain was totally different.
music, straight music. It's like that's a musician.
Man, I'm trying to piece this all together. And then we just watched the Led Zeppelin one. They said Moon was part of the Yardbirds.
Oh yeah. That's, like I said,
That's
everybody.
the Who's drummer.
Everybody went through the Yardbirds.
Oh, that was
That's
the,
just the
that was the
name.
entrance.
Yeah.
You had to go through that.
You had to be in the Yardbirds before
Except
you graduated.
unless you were the Stones.
Right.
I didn't hear nothing about the Stones going through the Yardbirds. They
Or the
did.
Beatles.
They did. So
They were earlier though, a little bit
that
earlier
statement
though.
is false then, because those brothers went their own route. But
Anyone after them, you had to go through them.
But yeah, this is gonna be dope too.
Yeah.
Man.